Yeah, no
My internet
worries.
dropped.
No worries, mate. I just want to use the word mate. Anyways, Australian elections. Give us the down low. What's going on?
Okay, I've been following the betting odds on sportsbet.com.au over here, and about 8 months ago, the opposition leader, so he is a guy called Peter Dutton. He looks a little bit like Lord Voldemort from the Harry Potter series. He's bold and he kind of talks in a very serious type of manner.
Mm-hmm.
He was like ahead by about he had about a 60 to 70% chance to win the election. Now,
Is this guy
on the eve
conservative?
of the election, those odds have flipped. They have come. The incumbent Albanese is got the 60 to 70% chance to win.
Of course, because he's a leftist.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. And I think what's happened is that they're going to continue to flood this country with immigrants as well, as that's Albanese's strongest
Migrants,
agenda.
migrants.
Migrants, yes.
Yeah,
Sorry, migrants, yes.
yeah. The immigrant. I'm an immigrant,
I'm a
right?
bit,
So yeah,
yep, yeah, I'm a
migrants
bit,
don't offer anything to your at all, to your anything whatsoever to your yeah. But
yep.
continue, please.
And I, I, d- I don't know what that was. Perhaps because the election was called, the parties have to come to their table and they've got to like produce policy for people to vote on. So up until a little while ago, Peter Dutton could have just gotten by to saying, by pointing the finger at Anthony Albanese and saying, what you're doing to this country is actually crap. But now
It's
that
actually
when
illegal. It's
he,
what he's doing.
yeah,
He's these people have committed, especially like the former Scott Morris. Those guys committed so many human violation acts that you don't have a hard drive big enough to list them all in.
yeah, exactly. Um, like I think Scotty Morrison was very good at money laundering and money laundering off to his friends. And you know what? He put on this persona about I'll give it a crack type of guy. So he's out there clowning around on the media, basically being a big attention grabber. So everyone can like. I think a lot of people really hated him, but a lot of people can hate on him like just clowning around. Well, he or his minions in the um, undetected or in areas which aren't as viewed, that they go about their dirty business, money laundering, letting in more people into the country than what should have been, and probably a whole heap of other things which shouldn't be done against the population of Australia.
Yeah, it's again, it's high treason, and none of the people voted for this shit, and it's gonna keep going and until the civil war on the streets. That's plain and simple. You'll see right now in Canada or parts of Canada, or sorry, let's go to London. What parts of Canada we had the Palestinian versus Indians war in Brampton and
Yep.
Oakville and
Hmm.
Mississauga, Ontario. You're seeing the Palestinian versus Pakistanian, or is it Indians and wait? It's the Indians and the
Yeah, I think it's
Pakistanians
the
in London, and then now you're going to start to
yep.
see civil war on your streets from two other warring factions that have nothing to do with Australia, probably don't even know the national anthem, and probably can't even really
Yep.
find it on the map.
Yeah, basically they don't want to be here except for the handouts which they get, which they really want to be here for.
Mm-hmm.
No attachment to the country, and yeah, I think we're going to see more of that. I mean, there was a bit of the 25th of April, which was a Friday this year. It's called Anzac Day, so it is a day, a public holiday here, where we remember our fallen in the wars. In World War I, the British sent our finest men over into the wrong bay in um, Turkey,
That's right.
in a place called Gallipoli, and they went up against machine gun nests and were mowed down. So that started that day for Australia and New Zealand. Anyway, at the there's a very big emphasis of go out, honour your war dead for better or for worse. And there was a Indigenous welcome to country where they do the smoking ceremony and everything. This was happening in Melbourne.
Mm-hmm.
So there was several people who went up there and basically booed the Indigenous person who was doing that, because the people who were booing said, you lost the voice referendum here, and Anzac should be about solidarity. There's basically one Australia. If you're sent off on a boat or have signed up to go on a boat to fight overseas, you are an Australian, no matter what your skin colour is. If it was a foreigner at the time, if it was a white European settler, or if it was a Aboriginal person. There's one Australia, there's one ceremony. We don't need your welcome to country ceremony. And and another booing happened here in Perth up at Kings Park as well. I think one or two people booed the welcome to country ceremony, where this is quite disgusting as well, in my opinion. It's something made by Ernie Dingo. The Aboriginal elders go out, they light a fire, a contained fire, and it produces smoke, and then they basically worship the land spirits. And that actually offends me as a Christian as well, because there's one God, there's no land spirits here.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
So yeah, there's the small parts of like you've got people with balls who are able to stand up to social pressure here, but I think it's going to take a lot more to get a civil war going.
Well, just give it some time. We'll keep flooding in the country. You're going to see what's going to happen. So, who do you think is going to win this election?
Unfortunately, I think it's going to be Anthony Albanese again. So
the guy that nobody wants. The guy that nobody wants is going to win.
Yeah, exactly.
That's exactly how it works. And how many years have you been hearing me say this over and over and over? You could wear we could wear a gold shirt. Everyone that's voting for the guy that we love, wear a gold shirt to vote. You'll see a sea of gold shirts everywhere. But the other guy is going to win. The guy wear a red shirt if you're voting for the other guy. Mm-hmm. You'll see two red shirts in a sea of gold shirts. But the guy that no one voted for will win. That's just how it works. It's all selection. There's no election.
Yep, exactly. And at this point in time, it could be that Dutton, the opposition leader, could have just been someone who's, what's it called, a straw man to run against.
Yeah.
As well. So it's like believable. He's not killing Albanese in any of the debates which we have here. Mm-hmm. He's just basically fumbling his way through the campaign. Right. Actually, the big kicker is that these two parties, they're not addressing the root cause of the problem, which is like basically cut migration. All right, Liberal, which is a more conservative, have given out, we're going to cut 30,000 student visas coming into the country per month. That's kind of like a little bit of it's insulting, really, because last February we had 200,000 people enter Australia, and our population is only 27 million. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So 200,000 per month means 2.5 million people per year. That's almost 10% of the Australian population. And none of the two major parties, which the boomer population is most likely to vote for, is going to do anything remotely enough to address this. Mm-hmm. At the same time, they're also pumping up the housing bubble we have here even further. They
have to. They got to keep going to the moon.
Yeah. There's a different flavour to each party's approach, though. So the Labor Party, they introduced superannuation here, but they're more left-leaning, more communist. So they said, first home buyers, you're going to whack down the required deposit at the bank from 5% to from 20% down to 5%. The government will guarantee the other 15% with the bank. But guess what? The government now will own part of your home.
Yeah, government's gonna own part of your home, SA. And you know what they're gonna do with that? Mark these words. I'm gonna tell you here, Ozzy. They're going to mandate people in the future, if they took those loans, to take in a migrant or two into their property and have to house them because the government owns part of their home.
Ooh, I didn't think about that.
Mike
That's a
Martins is always
really good
thinking
one.
about this stuff. Don't worry.
I'm going to use that in my I'm going to take that and use that in my circles as well to say you just watch this. Mike Martins told Aussie teams to say if you those homes you're building with the government, those homes aren't for you, they're for your replacement.
Yep. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Migrants will have to you'll have to house
Yep.
just like Germany started that program in 2016 where they take in migrants and they get a little bit of subsidy from the government for taking in migrants, and they were just raping and pillaging and murdering homeowners that were there, and just literally older women were getting completely hacked to pieces by Syrian and Algerian migrants. Yep.
Yeah, it's a sad thing that A, people trust the government so much, B, people trust strangers, foreign to their cultures so much because the government said to trust them, and C, that's the whole thing actually started out without, I think, any like real consent from or a real like referendum from the German people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anyhow, the Liberal guy, Dutton, has basically taken a different approach. The Labor Party, I believe in the 1980s, started something called the superannuation over here, which basically stopped the government paying for pensions for the vast majority of people here, but not the politicians, of course.
Politicians will never lose
And
those
so,
pensions. No way.
yep, they won't. It's a huge scam. And then I think we pay about, I'll clarify this later. I think
Like
200,
45% in
a
tax.
billion, yeah, a billion dollars per year in government and, sorry, $1 billion over 5 years for government and high up civil servants pensions this year,
Yeah.
which don't contribute anything because they've already been taxed, and they've basically pegged to inflation as well. Well, I have to go out. I pay 10%, probably 12% of my wage each year into something which I can't touch, money I can't touch as
That's
well. And by the
scary.
time I'm ready to retire to access the money, it's going to be all gone, or it's going to someone would have taken it for some emergency, or
Oh, it's going to be on a boat to Sri Lanka.
it, yeah, or it's going to be devalued. We've printed the great Australian dollar right into the great Australian peso, and everything which I've saved in there goes to nothing. So that's about 12. Thanks to Labor Party, that's about 12% of my wage, which I could be using to invest in myself, which has been gone.
And you know what's sad? It's like 30-40% of your life they took away too. They're
Yeah,
taking your
it
time
is.
away. Yeah.
It's probably about 55% here. Like
I
I'm
mean, I'm
in
talking
the second
your
highest.
life's like your life. They're sucking you out of
Yeah.
your like. They're
Oh,
sucking. So your time and labor and mind, uh, focusing on your work and doing your stuff so you can make your money. They're sucking it right out. They're taking they're taking your soul is what they're doing.
yep. That's right. I am just in the mindset here that all right, if I the only reason why I'm staying around is that I get paid somewhat substantially here, and I'm kind of wary about trying to get as much pay in another country as I could probably move over there and avoid most of the taxes or the transfer fee, and don't get taxed as much as in Australia, and probably be working in a much more happy community.
Mm-hmm.
But that's something I've yet to see. Anyway, yeah, it's like 10% GST. There's a very high tax on fuel here as well. So my economic activity where I drive in a car or where people drive trucks to deliver food and other products to me, that's been taxed.
Hmm.
The tax threshold is 37% I'm in, being like a middle class. And there's also a 2% Medicare levy on top of that. Levies come, but they never go. And it's basically there's a shortage of money. Probably about 10 years ago, where the equivalent of the NIH here was going to run out of money. So the Labor government of, no, it was the Liberal government slapped a levy on everything which you earned
That's
here. So that's
nuts.
another 2%. So that's up to 39. You're exactly right. And it's like 50%. And oh, yeah, there's so you can't be smart and buy stuff like gold or like stocks here and then sell them on tax free. Unlike a home, if you have a family residence that is tax free, you can sell that without capital gains tax.
Okay. Okay.
So they're just blowing the bubble bigger. The Liberal Party as well, which is Dutton's party, he is uh, he's got a different strategy. He said people can access their superannuation, which is a Labor Party idea, to buy their first home.
First
But
time home buyers
that
grants
also,
through, we have that in Canada. It's called RSPs, and you can use your retirement savings plan for a first home buyer, as a first home buyer.
yeah, yeah. I do prefer that one compared to Labor, but problem at the end of it, it's not solving the problem. It's basically giving my money, which other people, if I was a first home buyer, I've got more money than them because now I can access the super compared to some of my competitors. But I'd give my money away, and it'll only result in the bubble being blown larger. But at least I'd own my own home instead of like the Labor policy.
Right. Wow, it's getting really confusing and interwoven government. The government's trying so hard to interweave into our lives that they want to get into our mortgages. They want to get into, like, they want to get into absolutely everything. And they won't rest
Yeah,
until it's all destroyed.
yeah.